Would you mind doing the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Juan, if you please come forward for the prayer. Yes, sir. Yes.
Amado Dios, te damos gracias por esta hermosa tarde que nos permite estar en este lugar, delante de tu presencia. Humillamos nuestro corazón y nuestra vida. Te damos gracias por cada trabajador, por cada miembro de este concilio, Señor. Pedimos que tu gracia, que tu favor esté en cada uno de ellos, que les bendigas, que les des sabiduría, Señor, para tomar decisiones que vayan de acuerdo a tu plan y a tu propósito. Te pedimos que bendigas a cada uno de ellos que trabaja con todo su amor y con todo su corazón por esta ciudad, por esta comunidad. Pedimos que le sigas dando gracia, sabiduría en todas las decisiones. Lo pedimos humildemente en el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
Thank you, Pastor Juan. Pastor Juan, we also want to thank you guys for your assistance Saturday for the Easter egg hunt. Thank you. Roll call.
Ambrose.
Here.
Kale.
Here.
Raymond.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
Creighton is absent. We have a quorum.
Are there any subsequent need items?
There are none.
Seeing none, may I have a motion for the approval of agenda as posted or as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I have a motion by Vieira. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ambrose.
Raymond.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Again. Sorry. Motion passes.
Ceremonial matters. Is there anyone here from Anderson Flooring? Yeah?
He's at home
Okay.
laughing.
No one's here from Anderson Flooring, so we'll move on. Next item is presentations. Monthly verbal report, Merced County Supervisor, District 3, Darren McDaniel.
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, thank you very much. Merced County has been pretty busy lately. I'll give you a few updates here. Staff is preparing an urgency ordinance on a moratorium of hemp for the May 7th board meeting. Staff continues to work towards a better understanding of the concept of the UC-led hemp research program. There are still unanswered questions. The California Agricultural Commissioners and Sealers Association is participating in those discussions. And in the Ag Commissioner's office, the management staff continue to receive several inquiries a day concerning the status of industrial hemp in Merced County. New industrial hemp regulations have recently completed a 15-day comment period and have been resubmitted to the Office of Administrative Law for review. Initial countywide homeless planning meeting held with representatives from the City of Merced, City of Atwater, City of Los Banos, County of Merced, Assemblymember Adam Gray's office, and members of the business community. Lori, you were at that meeting. Thank you very much for representing us there. They are exploring options for low barrier shelter sites in the City of Merced and Los Banos, as well as shelter alternatives in less impacted jurisdictions. Possibilities explored including sanctioned encampment, sprung structure, interim housing in the form of shipping containers, and tough shed tiny homes. Assemblymember Gray stated potential for lump sum allocations possible depending on countywide progress developing capital projects addressing homelessness. Follow-up meeting with the Assembly Member's Office and county staff are scheduled for Monday, April 22nd, and monthly jurisdiction-wide meetings to commence starting in May. San Joaquin Valley Policy Conference presentations in Lemoore on May 9th, The Department of Workforce Investment received final approval for the State Employment Development Department on its plan for a national emergency grant directed at serving populations that have been affected by the opioid crisis. DWI is working in partnership with the County Behavioral Health and New Direction Homeless Outreach Center as part of the grant to provide outreach teams that will work with the homeless around the county to connect them to county services. Each outreach team member will receive $15 an hour and a full benefit package and will be working 40 hours a week for 8 months. We will fund 2 cohorts of outreach team members. This grant will fund these activities through September. An update with the homeless encampment that we have over behind Peggy Heller School. They informed me that they have done a full assessment on each of those members that are out there. They came from the encampment that was at the corner of 59 and Olive Avenue, which was the big encampment as you drove into Merced on the right-hand side. And whenever the city of Merced displaced all those individuals, and it wasn't just the city of Merced, it was the railroad as well, moved them off the property. Those folks have relocated throughout, who I guess didn't fit on the bridge that's out there, where the city and the county is trying to decide who fall under that bridge area. But, and I've shared the letter that we use to contact the property owner so we can go in and make assessments on what's going on. I will be representing you at the San Joaquin Valley Policy Conference. I am a presenter there. It's going to be more in line to your One Voice trip. When folks go into Washington, D.C. and meet with staff and meet with the members there, it'll be more of a coaching period of how to be prepared and be ready for your ask. Because a lot of times when you go there and you meet with a staff person or the congressman, if you don't have your stuff prepared and ready to speak and have your ask, they don't have time to give you information. They have time to help you with what your need is. So you got to be prepared and know exactly what the federal government or your congressman can do for you at that point, so you can be precise on the ask when you're there. And so that's what our presentation is going to be at the Policy Council. I think the mayor is attending the Policy Council. I can't remember for sure. It's in Lemoore. I'll also be representing you tomorrow in 2 meetings with our governor. One will be with, we're calling it, so it's on Wednesday. One of the groups that I'll be representing, we're calling it the county chairs. So every county within, from Kern County all the way up to San Joaquin County, each chairman of the Board of Supervisors is meeting, talking about our Central Valley issues. And then the following meeting, I'm actually in that meeting as well, representing you with California State Association of Counties, talking about Central Valley issues. So kind of a double whammy. Are there any questions?
No questions, any comments?
Don't let me off easy, guys, come on.
You know, Supervisor, just on behalf of the city, I thank you for always advocating for the city. I know your district encompasses more than just us, but you've always been very Atwater-centric, and we thank you.
I live in Atwater. I might have comments when we talk about the landscaping, so.
Please stick around. Consent calendar.
Background information has been provided on all matters listed under the consent calendar, and these items are considered to be routine. All items under the consent calendar are normally approved by one motion. If discussion is requested on any item, that item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate action.
Are there any items on the consent calendar the city council would like to remove for separate discussion and possible action?
I'd like to pull number 9.
Gary would like to pull item number 9. And I'd like to pull item 4. Are there anything else? Okay, are there any members of the public who would like to speak regarding any item remaining on the consent calendar? If so, please come to the podium now. Seeing none, we'll close public comment. We have a motion for the remainder of the consent calendar.
I make a motion to accept the consent calendar as amended.
Second.
Motion by Viera, second by Kale. Go ahead and call for the question.
Viera,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So item 4 is minutes from Audit and Finance Committee for 2014. And recently, an audit was done. I think we talked about it a couple meetings back. An audit was done, and the minutes, although they were approved by the Audit and Finance Committee, never came back to council for acceptance. So this is part of the process, and going forward, they have to be posted on our website. So this is part of the process. We're just cleaning house and moving these items forward, and because there's so many, we're doing them in group sections.
So we're finally doing things the right way. Okay. Anybody have anything? Motion?
I'll make a motion we approve the old minutes.
Motion by Kale,
I'll second that.
second by Viera. Call for the question.
Kale,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
This is just
Not at this time. This is just regarding the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, item number 9.
Well, I'm glad to see that we've moved and done something on this. Am I right to talk on this now?
Let's have Janelle read the item, and then we'll comment on it.
The item number 9 is awarding cooperative state and local government value rental lease agreement for multifunctional copiers to Ray Morgan Company.
Do you want me to make the presentation and then you comment, or would you like to comment on it?
Oh, no, because your presentation may answer all my questions.
Okay, so this before you is an award for a cooperative state and government rental lease agreement not to exceed $33,483.60 per year. On October 1st, 2014, the city entered into a lease agreement with Ray Morgan for our copiers and leases, and that encompassed City Hall, Police Department, Community Development, Community Center, and Station 41. That lease is going to expire on September 1st of 19. The city currently is paying approximately $4,406.66 a month, or a total of $52,879.92 per year. We asked for a proposal and received the amount would be the discounted rate, the payment amount is going to be reduced to $2,790.30 a month, or $33,483.60. So this is a cost savings of about $19,000 a year. This is a 5-year rental lease, and it includes all our toners, on-site service, fixed pricing, performance guarantee, and so staff is asking for approval on this. Some of the copiers, or all of the copiers will be included, but some of the desk printers may not be included in this, and they're probably a lower end that would be inexpensive to be replaced. So now I'll entertain any questions.
I think you answered. I know the last 2 budgets, it's kind of been a thorn in my side. We're paying so much money. It looks like we've got about a 38% reduction in cost, or maybe a little bit more. That's just math off the top of my head. So good. I'm happy. So I'll make a motion, unless there's other questions, that we accept this.
Viera made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Kale. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, call for the question.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Raymond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Reports and presentations from staff. Approving budget amendment regarding Merced County Random Access Network funding. Police Chief Salvador.
Thank you, Mayor Raymond, and members of the council, members of the Atwater community. Mike Salvador, your police chief. The ink isn't dry on the strategic plan, and I'm already in front of you regarding executing the plan. I was made aware of a potential revenue source by the sheriff's office and that the Atwater PD qualifies for. It's budgeted every year, but we haven't received that revenue source in quite a while, from my understanding. It's money that is derived from a $1 surcharge on your vehicle registration. It's called a fingerprint fee. That is collected by all 58 counties and distributed. I had that revenue source in Madera County, and I had access to that revenue source in Coalinga when I was the chief there. Well, I got here to Atwater and found out, well, Atwater's got the same revenue source. And what it does is it allows us to recoup the costs of our cellular phone connections in police cars that we use to transmit data back and forth to police cars. Or it allows us to replace the in-car computers in our police cars. Yes. Kind of one of those items on my strategic plan 2 weeks ago. So we were able to request up to $11,000 in this first fiscal year. We're budgeted for another $11,000 next year. All I have to do is provide the receipts for our cellular connection, which my staff has already done. We've already submitted it for payment. Unfortunately, I can't spend that money without your help. This item and the incorporating resolution allows us to accept the money coming in from the county, appropriate said money in the budget, and allow me to immediately use the city's purchasing guide to go out and start purchasing the in-car computers that are desperately needed by my people. You'll notice in next year's budget that this money will be programmed into the budget in police grant funds as part of my ongoing budget proposals to the county. So what happens never happens again. Of course, staff recommends approval. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Viera.
So if we can get up to $11,000, what do you anticipate, or is it too early to even say how much equipment can be replaced with that? I know that we need a pretty big overhaul.
Oh, yeah.
And is it only equipment used in the cars, or is there any other equipment used?
Just used in the
PD?
cars. It has to have a relationship between random connection or accessible connections outside the police department. So in talking with the sheriff's office, I missed the ability to make a larger request because I hadn't gotten here in time. Next year, in December and January, in fact, that board, they meet tomorrow. I'm going to let them know that for fiscal year 2021, I'm going to ask for, I'll have a specific project to present to them to help us out. We're kind of working in arrears right now. But they did budget in their budget $11,000 a year for this fiscal year and next fiscal year. So all I have to do is provide justification for it and we'll get the money. And that's not hard to do. So I figure we'll probably be able to get 4 in-car computers this year, 4 next year, right after the budget's approved. And then we'll just submit our bills and get that money back. So 8 tops out patrol pretty well if they're all sharing them for now. And then if we get our lease program that's also in next year's budget with patrol cars, we'll turn over the entire in-car patrol fleet for in-car computers over in 9 months. So we're making significant progress, and I want to thank Sheriff Warnke and his staff for making me aware of this revenue source. And we're going to hit the ground running. Requests for proposals are already out.
Awesome. Any other questions for the chief? Any comments from the public?
So thank you for
Yes.
renewing your car registration.
The city manager.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, I just wanted to thank you for looking at other revenue sources to help offset these projects that would be funded by the general fund if we didn't have any grants to do that, so I appreciate that.
That's what you pay me for. We're out there on several different fronts right now trying to fund our strategic plan without burdening the taxpayers unless we absolutely need to. Because they're already paying for this stuff.
Councilmember Vieira.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve staff's recommendation to accept the motion to adopt Resolution 3083-19.
Motion by Vieira,
I'll second.
second by Ambrose. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, call for the question.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Kale,
Oh, yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 12. Public Works Department verbal update regarding potholes and the status of city street sweeper trucks. Interim Public Works Director Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you know, winter really tears up the roads, gets a lot of potholes. Now that hopefully the winter is pretty much over, Janelle put up a map to where we're going to get some people out and follow the same route pretty much per week that the sweeper goes on, excuse me, to go and fill potholes. We're putting on a link on the website where people can get on the website and report big potholes that we don't find in a different area. We're not going to just stick to that one plan. If we get bigger potholes in another area that are reported, we're going to go and fill those, of course. But we're trying to get around and get all the potholes fixed, and they should be good until next winter when the rain just tears up the roads. The street sweeper, we had the street sweeper, the main one went down. They went to take the old one out. They had a short in there. Took them a while to find the short, but we got the new one back. Had to put a new oil pump on it. So it's back and going. I was asked if we could do downtown every day. So on his way out from the yard, he'd go down Broadway first thing before there's any cars down there, so we could sweep up Broadway and keep it cleaned up.
Okay. Anything else?
That's about it. Yep.
It'll be a beautiful thing when those potholes start getting filled. I tell you what. Any questions for Public Works Director Shaw? No? Any comments from the public? Go ahead, come forward, Mr. Johnson.
One comment for Mr. Shaw. Yeah, just to let the city know, maybe the city would have more money if he would focus on doing the streets and doing his job instead of going after people that the city says owe him money and going after our neighbors, our own neighbors, and intimidating them against giving us water, drinking water.
Mr. Johnson. Any other comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Oh, okay, that's right. Bear with me, it's my first time. All right, city manager reports and updates. Item number 13, ratifying interim finance director retired annuitant employment agreement.
So before you is an employment agreement for an interim finance director. This is an item to be ratified. She's already begun work. The city's current finance director separated her employment with the city on April 17th, and this person or position would help in the development of the fiscal year 2019-20 budget year. Staff is currently recruiting for a permanent finance director. This position is an annuitant that has more than 20 years of experience. She's worked in the public sector and a finance administration. specialized skill set necessary to perform the duties and responsibilities of that position. And staff is requesting that City Council ratify the interim finance director retired annuitant agreement with Terry Albrecht.
Any questions from the council?
Okay, one more thing just to add. This agreement is just until a successful finance director has been appointed or she completes her 960 hours as required by PERS.
We good?
You're good.
Okay, any questions from council? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve staff's recommendation as presented.
Motion by Councilmember Vieira,
Second.
second by Councilmember Ambrose. Call for the question. Please silence cell phones.
Viera,
Yes.
Hale,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Raymond,
Yes.
motion passes.
Item 14, discussion and possible action regarding landscape districts and weed control.
So Mayor Pro Tem, I was asked to put this item on as just a discussion item with possible direction. Currently, we have 2 staff dedicated, part-time working in those districts. They are budgeted, or their home base is streets, but they work part-time in the maintenance districts. So by contracting out, this could potentially impact employees' obligation to meet. So we would need to meet with the union on that, and when they are working in the districts, they are only being billed for the work done, so not full-time. So this is a discussion item.
Any comments from the council? Councilmember Vieira.
So stating that it was a request to be put here possibly to bring some outside help in by bringing in someone to do the landscaping, does that in any way jeopardize jobs that that these employees currently have? Answer that first, and then I have more questions.
So we would look at the jobs that they're doing, and obviously, that's why it could potentially be a union-related issue that we would meet with, but I would assume that we would restructure, and that would be our Public Works. We'd work with Public Works and find a new home base, but they're based out of streets right now. They're not based in the maintenance district, so
Okay.
only part-time of their work.
Well, it certainly is very visible through town. I mean, from my understanding, we have 2 gentlemen that come in and assist with the maintenance district. Is that correct? Is there just 2?
2 part-time, yes.
2
I
part-time.
mean, they're full-time employees, but yes, part-time in there, yes.
Correct.
So
Okay.
one full, so really
So,
one full-time.
I have had a couple, I got caught at Save Mart the other day, and then I got a call from a concerned citizen today seeing this on the agenda. And there are quite a bit of areas in town that are just in desperate need of assisting. I know that we did raise some fees with our landscaping districts in order to overcome a shortfall, but if we're going to raise fees and we're going to fill in that shortfall, then the districts need to be maintained properly. It is really sad driving up and down some of our streets. I know where I live, near Peggy Heller, the corner, and it's associated with my yard. Sometimes it's just flat embarrassing. People come around the corner and they think that's part of my yard. So we do sometimes just maintain it for that reason. But the weeds are grown up, and I don't mean that in any disrespect to the employees that are working on it. I mean, it takes me all day to push a lawnmower and clean a yard, so I can't imagine having 2 part-time employees maintain the landscape of our entire city. It's just too big, it's too out of control. So my recommendation would be that we go ahead and get an RFP while we work with the union to make sure that we have job security. I want to look at our employees not only to make sure they have job security, but how can we ask them to provide a service? There's only so many hours in the day to do a certain thing. and then they're providing a service that they probably can't feel really proud of anyway, because they never really get to complete it and do a full job, based on what they get to do. It's just a city this size for 2 part-time employees, it's just too much.
Anyone else?
Can I make a comment? So to let you know, I'm down 2 full-time employees in streets and parks. And we don't have a list for seasonals. So Wednesday, we're doing the final interviews to hire the 2 new people and a list to get the seasonal people in here for the summer to do the weeds and the patching.
Brian, like I said, honestly, it is no disrespect. You're shorthanded, the city is shorthanded, and right now we're doing what we can. And I understand that. So if you only have 8 hours in a day, but you've got 14 hours worth of work, you cannot expect these 2 employees to handle that. But flip side it, we've just raised the fees for these districts, and now the citizens want what they're paying for. And they're not paying a fee, and they, quite frankly, not that they don't care, but I can't go pay to have my oil changed in the car and they only change half the oil. I paid for an oil change. They're paying for their districts to be maintained, and unfortunately, we don't have the resource to maintain them in the state that they should be for the pride of our city and that they need to be to benefit our citizens. So again, please understand, in no way am I wanting to say you guys aren't doing a good job. I know you're trying, I understand. So I'm looking at this is if we can bring in maybe a contractor from the outside to relieve your employees. They've got 2 balls that they're juggling. Let them go ahead and focus on this, and then everybody can be happy. That's my intention.
Anyone else?
Ryan, can I ask you, you have 2 part-time employees. What are they doing on the other half? The 2?
Well, I have 2 people, and they try to do most of their time in the maintenance districts, but there's other times when they have to go and do something along the streets, just regular gas tax, or in the parks. But we try to keep them mostly in the assessment districts.
Okay.
And it's on their timesheets. I do a funding source on where they're working each day, on which district.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It's just hard to get them all to do, in one spot and get it all done, because they get pulled all different directions.
Yeah, like Cindy said, I too had 2 different people approach me and said, hey, we pay extra. Our house is required that they had to pay extra for that. And I was explaining that you guys were way down in staffing and that you guys were going to try to get out there as best you can.
And it does look worse after we spray it, and it's dead. Then we got to go in and cut it down.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm trying to get a bullion crew to come down, 16-man crew for $200 a day, and we're going to do Atwater Boulevard and try to get Buhack and Juniper, get that all done. It's only take them 2 or 3 days.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Councilmember Vieira.
So the way this is written, from my understanding, RFP would just be for maintenance of the landscape district. This does not include any parks. So we would still rely on our employees to maintain the city parks, which just that alone, they have their hands pretty full with. Unless there's any other questions, then I'd like to.
Well, this is something that's been near and dear to me for quite some time, as the city manager knows. For years now, this has been an ongoing issue. We're charging people for services they're not getting, and I'm sick and tired of it. I was told last time that if we vote to do this increase that it's going to be maintained, and it's still not being maintained. In fact, it's getting worse. And it's just, we've voted to go out to RFP a few years ago, and RFP was never provided. It's just, keep kicking the can, keep kicking the can, keep kicking the can, and then it gets like Councilmember Vieira says, we're setting these poor guys up for failure. It's not their fault when they're always playing catch up. So we have to do something, we have to be proactive in this situation. And I think that she's exactly right. We should look at the RFP process and go forward with that. I'll be good. That's it for now. Any comments from the public? I was waiting for you, Mary.
Mary McWaters with AFSCME. I represent the miscellaneous and clerical units. I'm going to get on my high horse again about contracting out. It's not always the best thing to do. Contracting out, you don't know what you're going to get. We're short-handed, that's why it's not being done, and I understand the frustration. I mean, I live here too. I see it too. However, you got to fill those positions. You know, Brian, are those two positions going to be working at all on that? The ones that you're getting ready to hire?
Working on what?
You're on the landscaping.
No.
They're only going to do straights?
We have the two people right
Okay,
now that are
so
working
will
on
it
that.
free up the other two to do more on the landscaping?
Mary, direct your comments to the chair,
I'm
please.
sorry. Okay, so you, so you got two more.
I appreciate the initiative.
You're hiring two more people, should free up some more time for the others. However, if you just add another position to cover this, if you figure out how many hours a day it would take to take care of the landscaping in these areas, add another position. I mean, contracting out, you know, I see the city is going in this direction, and I don't like it. I mean, a lot of times you get substandard services when you do this, and it's not always cheaper. I'd rather see it kept within the city with our Parks and Rec and Public Works department. I think that more needs to be looked into as far as like how many hours of work it would take to keep it up. I don't know if anybody's even done that, and if it would require just one more full-time position or another half-time position to keep it up, but it should stay within the city. We start contracting everything out, we're in trouble. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Shaw, would you like to answer Ms. McWater's question? Will the two extra people, when you fill those positions, be able to assist?
If I had two people that work full-time in there, that wouldn't be a problem. But they'd be in there full-time, they wouldn't be able to pull off to do parks or streets. They would just be in assessment districts, but I think there was a...
So are the two bodies in the assessment district where you're looking to hire? No?
Yeah, no, it's just two positions that have the retirement and one person left, so we're just looking to backfill those.
They're from the streets department?
Streets and parks, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Most cities have diversion programs. Probation department, prisoners. These programs are constitutional, and you are allowed to work the individuals. So as far as manpower or woman power, you should be looking into utilizing the services that are at your disposal for community services within the city limits.
Thanks, sir. Councilmember Pierre. Oh, we have one more. Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, this thing on contracting out, when a better option be a possibility, you know, to take volunteers from the city department. You have an open date on Friday where nobody works. Even though I've been down there and I've seen contractor people, you know, working there. I don't know what they were doing at the time that I was going down there, outside of working on cars. But if you take the Friday that the city workers don't work and get 2 city employees to volunteer, not on the city pay scale. Whatever you're going to pay, and you haven't said so, whatever you're going to pay a contractor, you start with that and offer that money to the city employees to work that Friday. That will keep whatever you have within the city, in the city. And, I don't think it hurts anything to try it. And if it doesn't work, then you can always go back to contracting out since you failed on that. If people if they volunteer, they don't show up for whatever reason, or they're not doing the job right, then you can, resort back to going to the contracting. But I think the city here has sabotaged the city workers enough. And I think these people are already, under the circumstances, working below their pay. So they should be able to, if it's possible, to try to make it up for the benefit of their own household, if nothing else. And I think some of these people, if you offer this job to them, I think you're going to get volunteers, that'll go out there and specifically work on this on Friday. And if it came to having to do it on a Saturday, I think they would do that also. But the thing is, everything stays within the city. The keys, the access to the yard will remain with the city. If you get a contractor out there, pretty soon you're going to have shit start being missing. And I know that that's happened. So I think it would be a good idea if you considered it at least.
Ms. Waterman.
So I know Mary's going to come up and address that. So we cannot use city employees to volunteer in a position that they're a paid employee in. I do appreciate Mr. Hernandez recommending that. And the other thing is, my anticipation of going out to RFP would, if an outside vendor was chosen, they would be using their own tools and things and would not be accessing the city yard. But again, it would be a union issue, whatever is decided. This is just a discussion. If we go out to RFP, just because we do doesn't mean it's going to be chosen. Both will be weighed at the best savings for the, please.
Go ahead, Pastor Juan. And real quick, while foul language is not illegal, please try to refrain.
Pastor Juan, I have my people. We want to serve our community with love, with heart, with passion. I take sometimes 20, 30 people. I clean all Winton, from Winton to Merced, Santa Fe, and we throw away the trash from our pocket to the dump, and sometimes I take my people to clean the streets of Atwater. We are here for serve the community. I have rehab homes. I have a lot of people working. We are here for serve the community with all our heart. We are here.
Thank you, Pastor Juan. We appreciate that.
I was just thinking, I agree with Cindy's plan, or your idea. I think that's a great idea of moving forward. The city's been neglected in that area for so long, and the gentlemen have been trying, but if you drive around town and within our limits, it's very backlogged. I mean, it's going to take an army to kind of get it under control. So I think maybe moving forward with a contract company, they'll use their own tools, they'll use their own employees, and also if there's any injuries or any negativity, if anything happens, it falls back on the contractor and not on the city. That's another thing to look at. So, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Mead. Anybody else from the public? Uh-oh, Pastor Rich.
I won't be long-winded. Rich Miller, 334 Silva Drive, Atwater, also 1280 Sierra Vista Street, Victory Baptist Church. I want to second what was just said. I am all for us trying to make our city look nicer, and we've all heard the old saying, jack of all trades, master of none, but that's actually not how the saying goes. If you look up the history, it's jack of all trades, master of one. And right now, if our people are having to jump back and forth, they're not able to master one. And so I agree 100%. You know, when I got ready, our church ready for Easter Sunday, I was out there Friday, Saturday, making sure everything looked nice because it's the Lord's house. We want to make sure it looks nice. Well, when people come to our town, I love Atwater. I've been here for 9.5 years. I don't want people to drive up and down our streets and think what an ugly little town that nobody cares about. And while I believe that the people in Public Works are trying to do their best, like you said, we can only do so much. And so if that means we have to go outside, then we do what we have to do. It'd be great to keep everything in the city, but it's not always possible. And so we want to make sure that our city is taken care of and looks the best, especially if we're trying to bring businesses in and things like that. So I'm wholehearted behind that.
Thank you, Pastor. Is there anybody else? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Councilmember Vieira.
So just, Brian, a little clarification. We have 2 positions open, but those are positions that we're filling that we already had, and those positions include, they're for the streets, and they work part-time in the landscape districts, correct?
No.
No.
No, we have 2 people that are employed right now that
Okay.
do the landscape districts.
What would you say, what kind of manpower would you need if we came to you and said, okay, we want our landscape districts done by the city. We don't want them to do streets and landscapes, and we want them maintained meticulously, what the city deserves. How many men and how much more equipment would the city need in order to provide that service up to a standard where I feel our citizens are going to be happy?
Well, we have the equipment, and with the two employees we have right now, and then I'm getting some more seasonal workers. So if I get a couple of those to go, each person get on a 2-man team, they get it cleaned up pretty quick, I think.
What is that in staffing different than what we've had over the last couple of years? Have we upped our staffing over last year, or are we looking now to just staff what we have last summer and the summer before?
Yes, we're just trying to get it up to what we had last year.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you. And again, going over this, I want to just reiterate that when I come to you and say that there's been complaints, in no way am I meaning any disrespect to you, honestly. It's just, I think that we've given our staff an overwhelming task, just not enough time in the day.
Yeah, and my guys, they kind of stress out that they can't get it all done.
Of course.
Yeah, that's understandable. Anything else? No? Okay, so is, well, Councilmember Vieira made a recommendation. Yes, come forward, Mayor.
If you designate somebody to, that's their duties, they could get it done. If they're doing that 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day, whatever they work more than that now. But 4 days a week, 8 hours a day, they could get it done. The problem right now is you're down 2 people. The 2 he has are only doing it part-time, plus they're trying to do the streets also. But if you applied somebody full-time strictly for that, it could get done. And like Brian was saying, if you got seasonal help too, but I don't think it's been done that way. I don't think he's been able to put somebody full-time on it, or at least 1.5. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Vieira.
Can you comment on that, Brian, as far as staffing? Did we have seasonal work last year? Seasonal workers last year, or no?
Yes, we did.
We did, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, any direction?
I make a motion, based on the staff's recommendation, to go for RFP to at least see what the costs would be for the landscaping districts. In the meantime, I say we work with Brian to try to get everything staffed, and if we can handle it internally, depending on how that goes. But for now, I think we should go with an RFP and see what kind of service we can get and what it would cost us. Again, one thing about going to districts is when someone in your district calls upon you and they say, hey, we live here and this is what's going on. Now I know these are my neighbors that are contacting me, and so I want to make a commitment to them that I'm doing the best that I can for our district. And I do see that it's been lacking maintenance even last summer when we had the part-time. And again, I can't stress enough that it is meant in no disrespect. The gentlemen have, or ladies and gentlemen, have more on their plate than they can handle. So I really think that at this point in time, I'd like to recommend that we do go to RFP for maintenance landscape districts.
Before we get a second, if we do, Ms. Martin, You want to clarify the motion or repeat what you have?
So the motion would be that the city council by motion provides staff with direction regarding an RFP for maintenance of landscape districts.
Okay, is there a second?
I have a question before a second. So is this before or after the city manager meets with the local union? Or is this just,
So the RFP process, we could begin, but if it impacts the employees that are budgeted or paid out of that, it would have to be a negotiated process. But we could at least we could provide you with a basis to make a decision.
You would get a cost analysis. Would it even be worth it based on the RFP per giving Mr. Shaw what he needs to get it done?
okay. Well, with that, then I'll go ahead and second.
Okay. Motion by Vieira, second by Ambrose. Call for the question.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Kale?
I'm willing to look at what the RFP says, so yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next item, discussion and possible action regarding the hours of operation for the Bloss Home Grounds and Gardens.
So this was another item that was asked of me to put on for discussion by City Council. And the question is, that has been raised, is addressing the fencing and the accessibility to the grounds for the public. And in doing the research...
Do we have anybody here from the Historical Society tonight?
Okay, so I'm gonna make my statement, and then we do have a statement that they do want to be read into the record.
So we have reached out to them.
We've reached out to them prior to this meeting. We were told, and we were given some information that I'll read, and then we were told the president is out of state and he could not be here, and he's the only one that could speak to this item. So this is just a discussion item right now, issues that have been raised by the community to you as council, and so that's why we pulled this item and reviewed it.
Okay.
So initially, when the Bloss agreement came to the council, part of the concern was that the fence, the accessibility to the public. By putting the fence around, it was worried that the public would no longer have use of it, and that they would no longer be able to take their pictures and et cetera in front of it. Part of the discussion was with Greg McDaniels at that time, and he was the one that he was the president at that time. And I do have this. The information that I got is on YouTube, and it can be seen at the I think it was the February 12th. I'll look at that. Actually, I have that. It is February 12th, 2018 meeting. So if anybody wants to look at that. So that's where I got my information. And part of the discussion was mostly the concern by the council for public accessibility. And it was discussed that the grounds would be available to the public Monday through Friday, possibly 9 to 5 for picture taking, and then available on the weekend by request. Information that we were given by Kathy Jansen, who's, I believe, the Historical Society's treasurer, although we're being told that only the president can speak, but the information she gave to me is they have an open house the first Sunday of each month from 1 to 4. The gates can be open upon request or are open upon request when performing yard maintenance work. Otherwise, no one is allowed to rent keys to the gates. Use of the grounds may be reserved for weddings, formal pictures, etc., at $65 an hour for weddings and $25 an hour for pictures. And the gates, they have reached out to prom pictures for the gates to be open for prom for Buhack, Atwater, and Livingston schools. One of the comments that I think is important that Greg McDaniel made was the gates were not to lock out the public. This is the public in the community's building. This was not the purpose. The gates were merely to preserve the historical building and the site. So with that, Janelle has something to read.
The city received a written response for this item to read into the record. It was received on Monday, April 22nd at 2019 at 3:33 p.m. from Greg Wolzak. It says, "Dear Lori, This is to notify you that for the record, as the president of the Atwater Historical Society, I am requesting that the agenda item regarding the Bloss home at this evening's meeting be tabled or continued until a future date. The reasons for this are that I have just heard earlier today that it was officially on the agenda. I was not officially notified or consulted by anyone from the city of Atwater that it was going to be placed on the agenda tonight, and that I am currently out of state and not able to attend the meeting. And unfortunately, no other authorized representative of the society is available either. It would be the society's wish and hope that representatives of both the city and the society be able to sit down and discuss this topic in the near future and come to some positive conclusions about this item that can be brought to the city council for a suitable decision benefiting both parties. Again, for the record, I desire this email to be publicly read in full into the record at tonight's meeting. Also, please communicate to me in writing at your earliest convenience the findings and summary of the discussion so that we can be fully and accurately apprised of this matter. Thank you, Greg Olzak, President, Atwater Historical Society.
Thank you. So have we made, we tried to reach out for private meetings before this?
So we did reach out several times, and that's how we got the information from Kathy Jansen. We did not know that, we were notified that Greg Olzak was out of state, but they do have a board, and so there's a president, vice president, and treasurer, so we assumed we were trying to reach out for the vice president to maybe address some questions. But these are questions that are being raised by the council, and so today there's no action being done, it's just discussion, and we will reach out when Greg Olzak returns and set a formal meeting with them on what is based from today.
Okay. Councilmember Vieira.
So I do know that when we went into the agreement, I was the person that asked the questions about whether or not the Bloss House would be accessible. The Bloss House belongs to the citizens of the city of Atwater. We're in agreement with the Historical Society, and I know it's a group of people who have a lot of passion and love in maintaining and restoring and taking care of that home. And the citizens should be very grateful that we have people in our community that have the passion for something historical. However, I had my graduation from Atwater High School pictures taken on the Bloss House. My husband did. I bet your families had pictures. Is there anybody in this room has not had pictures taken at the Bloss House? Prom pictures? Graduation pictures?
No pictures.
Family pictures? My pictures to run for city office? The Bloss House belongs to the citizens of the city of Atwater, and they have been locked out of the Bloss House. If Greg Olzak is the only person that can communicate about the Bloss House, what if we have prom pictures tomorrow? It's not accessible to me as a citizen. The gates are locked. There's no phone number on the gate. There's no hours on the gate. And I don't want to pay $25 to go take a set of prom pictures with my iPhone on a piece of property that the city I live in and the city I pay my taxes in. I'm not giving them $25. That's a right. I don't have to pay $25 to go to Ralston Park, Joan Fall Park. I can go to Veterans Park and take my pictures. It doesn't cost me $25. I think that the Historical Society in a little bit is overstepping their boundaries here. I understand their need and their desire to preserve the house with the fence, but we were assured when we approved that fence that it was not locking citizens out, it was simply keeping it safe, and that is not in turn what is happening here. I was contacted a week ago by a photographer that went down there to take pictures. One of Livingston City Council members, his daughter was coming here to take pictures. The photographer called me afterwards and said, hey, just kind of a question, we were down there. Mr. Vineyard happened to be there working and let them in. As they got ready to leave, she was rushed at her car by other citizens who wanted to get in. They had no access. There were a group of young individuals going to prom in their tuxedos, their dresses, their flowers, all going to the Bloss House to take these pictures that have been part of Atwater for years and years, and they were not given access. So those citizens of Atwater are locked out. They're not in. So I would hope that we can meet and come to a really positive conclusion with Mr. Olzak, so that it can once again be open to the citizens. And, with the homeless problem they were having at the Bloss House, all the parks are subject to that, but we can't lock our citizens out of all of our parks. You can't, the one bad apple, we can't let it spoil the whole bunch. And that's a beautiful piece of history of our city that everyone should have access to. That's just my piece.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Cindy. One of the things that, I remember when they came out there, I can't get into that park either. I know people think that as a city council member, you have perks. And I donated to build that fence, and I agree with you. I'm going to suggest, I still don't want to sit back and get angry that we can't get in there, and we haven't had them come up and talk to us. And I'm going to suggest that we move this to our next meeting, and then we're giving them plenty of time to have somebody here and show up and say, this is what we're looking for, and then we can ask them direct questions in, why isn't it open?
I agree 100%, John. Yes.
Danny, anything?
No, pretty much what you just heard from Councilmember Kell. We were having a discussion prior to the meeting starting, because we both wanted to know more information about this. I referred back to the YouTube video to kind of see what the discussion was, and I got an email today asking from a resident to kind of pull this off the agenda today, but I wanted to hear what the concerns were. So like John Kell said, I want to see this on the agenda for our next meeting, which is on May 13th, and hopefully someone from their team can come and explain their side.
I actually agree, because, discussion is futile without someone on the other side to answer back. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, I'll make a motion that we put it on the 13th agenda, May 13th agenda.
Motion by Kale, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Vieira. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, call for the question.
Kale?
Yes.
Hambriz?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Raymond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Comments from the public.
At this time, any person may comment on any item which is not on the agenda. You may state your name and address for the record, however, it is not required. Action will not be taken on an item that is not on the agenda. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and/or placed on a future agenda. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. First, we have John Slate.
Mayor Pro Tem, council members, John Slate, the Atwater
Your
City
time's already up.
County Chief. Gotta go? Had enough of me already.
Good.
Well, thank you for letting me have a few moments of your time. I wanted to talk about a few annual programs that Atwater City Fire Department, your fire department, is starting to work on. One of those is the hazard abatement. This includes the weed abatement. The past year has been particularly devastating for California. Seen a lot of challenging fires throughout the whole entire state. With the rain and the warm weather, has left a lot of vegetation in and around the city that's soon going to die, going to be completely dead, dry out, and will become fuel for fast-moving fires this summer. So we're going to need everyone's help in mitigating those problems. So the Atwater Fire Department has begun its annual hazard abatement program this summer. Property owners who haven't been as diligent about eliminating those weeds and rubbish in the past, they're going to start getting notices. You're going to start seeing the fire engines out, myself, and then the fire marshal out, driving around, taking pictures, and getting information from the addresses of people that haven't mitigated those weeds. We started this program on April 15th, and we're shooting for the 1st of May to pretty much have all the notices compiled so that we can get those out to the citizens. Just a friendly reminder, mitigate those hazards along, and it falls right along in line with the Atwater Municipal Code that talks about those hazards. And one other thing, April, May, and June is also the months that we get out and we start doing apartment inspections. So you'll see us in those facilities doing those annual inspections. That's the time that we do that. Is there any? And then one other thing I wanted to bring up tonight, I actually asked Fire Captain Matt Bernard, because he's been involved with the Muscular Dystrophy Association for the last 7 years. Very compassionate to him, if he would just give us a little bit of information on that program.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council members. My name is Matt Bernard, Fire Captain at Atwater Station 41. I'm here just to speak very quickly about the Muscular Dystrophy Fill the Boot event coming up the May 25th at Five Corners. Fundraiser will be taking place at 7 a.m. To 1 p.m. that day, just a single day only. All proceeds from the fundraiser will be going towards the Muscular Dystrophy Association, which has been around since 1950. Excuse me. All the proceeds will that are raised local, stay local. So here within the city of Atwater, we actually have 6 patients that are cared for by the Muscular Dystrophy Association. One actually is a camper. Muscular Dystrophy Association has a camp which they're able to send kids who are unable to, say, hike, walk, fish on their own. So they're able to do that kind of stuff when they go to the camp. Within the County of Merced, we have a total of 83 patients that are assisted by the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So all the funds that are raised local will continue to stay local at these fundraisers. Last year in the city of Atwater, we raised $3,699.
Matt, because it's public comment, if you can finish your thought.
Okay.
Or you can jump in and go again, because
okay.
Chief Slate was first, and then you can come up and finish.
Okay, so anyways, I just want to let you guys know that it's coming up on May 25th from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, in closing, I'd like to thank you for your time, and ultimately, you're going to see us out there doing that abatement. So that's pretty much what I have for you. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Next, I have Josh Regina.
Good evening. I want to thank the council for this opportunity to speak. My name is Josh Regina. I'm a resident in Merced, and I am speaking on behalf of One Plant. We are excited to be applying in Atwater. One Plant has other businesses that have proven success, such as Round Table, Cold Stone, and Jamba Juice. We are applying for a cannabis retail storefront in Atwater, and our site location is 261 Business Parkway. As operators of cannabis businesses in other municipalities, we have determined that the structured minimum payment designed for Atwater will be unsustainable. Our data suggests that the revenue will be less than expected because of an increase in competition. Atwater is suggesting that applicants pay a minimum monthly of $40,000 or 5% gross. If 5% was equal to $40,000, the city would be generating $2.4 million in revenue. Excuse me. And everyone in Atwater would have to spend $200 at one of those 3 dispensaries per week. Those numbers just are not there. To fall into the 5% threshold, storefronts would need to generate about $1 million per month, and we're suggesting that that data, or those numbers are just not there. Other cities that have implemented minimum payment benefits such as this have been unsuccessful. Monterey County is one example where they've had to host an emergency meeting to re-amend the public benefit to save these businesses. It would be much more effective to charge a flat 5% gross revenue tax versus the minimum payment either or. That's to say these businesses, let's say they generate $300,000 per month. $40,000 would just be too much for these businesses to have overhead, non-deductible, and be able to pay those fees. We have given the city a development agreement which agrees that we would be willing to pay a 5% gross revenue per month fee. We have not heard back a definitive answer from the city, nor have we been given a date for our we have not been given a date for a public hearing to move this process forward. We have given the city $25,000 in Phase 2 fees, yet we still lack communication on behalf of what we are going to do next. We held a meeting that was somewhat pointless, and we have yet to hear back from the city since.
You can go ahead and finish your thought.
In closing, we would be looking for more open communication with the city in hopes that the staff would be willing to support a more long-term and sustainable deal for applicants in the city of Atwater. We believe that setting these businesses up to fail off the bat is a disservice to the community. And that is it. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We need to recess? Next is Frank Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Frank Johnson, Modesto, California, President of the National Association for the Advancement of All People, the NAAAP. As they say, it's always important to keep track of your priorities. Things are certainly looking better here in Atwater than they were when I first came here 3 years ago. Petro's gone, Joseph's gone, McBride gone, Beverly Barrero's gone, Price gone, Vineyard's gone, Bessinger's gone, Novinsky out of administration, back on graveyard. Rod Dash is under investigation and on his way out. Congratulations to the new council, city manager, and police chief in making things happen. I gave you a few pointers on the way, but you all did the heavy hitting and lifting. Speaking of priorities, you've heard of the city of Gustine. They're having an ethical crisis in their police department. Within the last year, they've hired 2 dirty cops. One, most recently, Sammy Joseph, who is incapable of passing a legitimate post-background criminal investigation. With his clear history of ethical criminal violations, last year they also hired Sean Osborne, who was fired from Alameda County Sheriff for bribing witnesses to a beating. I don't know what the police chief and city manager are smoking over there to make these idiotic hiring decisions, but rest assured, I'm going to go to Gustine, and it won't be pretty. I would like to thank the good people of Atwater for their support over the years. I will be available to come back to Atwater on as needed. In other words, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Next, we have Gary Frago.
Now it's your turn, Gary.
Gary Frago. I'm going to talk about 4 professional people, and I want to make sure their names are pronounced right. So City Manager Waterman has agreed to do that.
You announce them. Captains Carvello, Captain Ayoso, Engineer Stager, and Engineer Butler. And then Officer Lauren Mann, Officer Dave Sargensen, Officer Fido Centro, and Reserve Officer Michael Freiberg.
A week ago today, we had a vehicle run into our house and hit 2 rooms, hit the window where my wife was laying in bed. She was lucky she only got hit on the head with the headboard. But I want to tell you, the police department had the scene under control at all times. They kept in touch with me if we needed any help. The fire department, some stayed outside, some went inside and helped my wife until the ambulance got there, and I cannot commend them enough for the work that they've done, and I appreciate it. And I have some letters.
Take that. Yes. Thank you very much.
Would you get this to Chief Ron?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I want the people to know they have good people looking out after them. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
I don't have any more.
Anyone else?
No, no more quotes.
One quick announcement. Saturday, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., I just got word of this a couple hours ago. We're going to be participating in National Drug Take Back Day. We're going to have a booth outside of Walmart. So if you've got prescription drugs you want to get rid of, especially the narcos and stuff like that, please save them up, bring them in on Saturday. I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at all of you. She's feeling guilty over here, Brian. There's a little guilt going. But please bring them down to Walmart, and we'll have bins waiting for you, and we'll take care of you there. And I want to thank Walmart for reaching out to us. And Mr. Frago, he's not here, but thank you very much. And then I do want to publicly recognize the lady right here. And yes, you need to stand up. Jeannie, stand up. We got a really special gift from Jeannie. Just like a week ago, maybe 10 days. Lunch showed up for my entire crew. For Jeannie, from Jeannie. And I do want to say thank you. Unfortunately, I was in a meeting. I didn't get a chance to have any of it, but the reviews were rave. So thank you, Jeannie. Appreciate it.
Richard?
Just wanted to add that the One Plant organization has pledged a significant sum of money to the Tree Foundation, which is a local nonprofit.
Ms. Rogina, you already had your 3 minutes.
Oh.
We can talk afterwards.
We can talk afterwards?
Yeah. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening, City Council. First of all, I want to thank, I just want to say, Brian Raymond, you're doing a good job in the mayor's seat there.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for doing your job. Thank you. Your job is to develop and make policies that govern Atwater. That is exactly what the law tells you to do. The law also says it's the job of city staff to follow those policies and run the city in a professional way. That works pretty well until City Manager Lloyd Waterman and City Attorney Doug White started making up their own facts and deny us water. They won't tell you they refuse to follow the law and provide us the documents that prove them wrong. They won't tell you one of the few times they agreed to meet with us, they would bring their hired gun attorneys, telling us to bring whoever we want, knowing full well we have no money to hire high-priced attorneys or experts. What they don't tell you, they used intimidation and threats against our own neighbors for even providing us with drinking water. What they won't tell you is that we will not back down, and the city can expect more lawsuits. What they won't tell you, those suits will cost the city scarce general fund dollars paid for by the taxpayers. Now, what I want to tell you, we are willing to sit down with you in good faith and try and resolve this problem together in an honest and respectful way. We hope you will be willing to do so. Now, it's up to you, Mr. City Manager and Mr. City Attorney. What's your pleasure? The ball's in your court.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Lori, I'd be happy to pay that man's $500 so he could turn his water back on. Is that what he owes now, or that not going to turn the water on?
His balance is over $2,600, and we've met with him. He doesn't want to pay that. He doesn't feel he owes anything, so that's, I mean, we can talk later.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think this is the appropriate forum for that. Mrs. Johnson?
I know it seems like we're wasting other people's time up here, but we're at home every day without water, and that is a waste of life for us, really. To let you know, the only response I have received was a 14-day extension on 5 of my requests, my public records requests. So the city remains in violation on those because they are very late. And this part was for Mr. White, but he's not here, but I will still address him. Mr. White, don't blame the city's high water rates on us. What do you mean when you tell the public such lies? You expect everyone to play dumb and believe that they are paying for our services that we don't have? So what are you saying? What you're saying is residents are paying for our services, then why don't we have those services? What I think residents should be asking is, Doug White says we are already paying for the Johnsons' services, then why does the Johnsons have a bill? And why don't they restore their services? Now, tell the truth. Why the high water rates? Is it for the high attorney fees? That makes more sense than paying for the Johnsons' non-existent services. I would also like to ask about the lawsuit that was brought out of closed session last meeting. Why was it so vague? What was it concerning?
Yeah, we can't talk about litigation.
Okay, because it was brought out of closed session. But the rest of it is, I know that some of the residents are believing the bull that's been fed to them by city attorney and city manager. And when they talk about us in open forum and say amounts that aren't discussed by us, it's an amount that you say we owe, and you're saying we owe that. You haven't showed us any documentation that we do owe that, and until then, you shouldn't be estimating that we signed 3 contracts when it was 1. You said at least 3. When you say at least, you're estimating, and we signed 1, and it was under duress. And we can all remember me saying that here in public forum. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, I wish you were the mayor and the rest of the city council. This is concerning the proposed gas station at Winton Way and Elm. I know that
Can
the
you state
city...
your name for the record?
Oh, my name is Wendy Ward. I know that you guys received notice from Sacramento dealing with the amount of liquor licenses that are already in my area. Because if we have the gas stations, and the gas stations almost all have liquor license, that means that we have a saturation, I like that word, saturation of gas stations and liquor licenses in our neighborhood. All the information I've been looking up on the dangers of gas stations, cancer, lymphoma, they seem to be the top ones. I don't know anybody in this room who doesn't know anybody that has had cancer. My son had a brain tumor 6 years ago. He is well now, as well as can be expected, but it's very scary thinking that the city could possibly approve a business which could possibly create long-term health problems for many of the children in the neighborhood, and there are a lot of seniors in the neighborhood. Some of the college kids of parents that live in their neighborhood are possibly talking about contacting ACLU because they seem to have no problem jumping in on a low-income Hispanic issue with the city. If you guys propose one of these marijuana distribution places across the street, you'd never see me here again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pastor Rich.
Rich Miller,
Welcome back.
234 Silva Drive, Atwater, 1280 Sierra Vista, Victory Baptist Church. So, last month I came and invited you all, and this is just a reminder, and I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to give you another reminder next month that we are having Law Enforcement Appreciation Sunday. It's Sunday, May 19th, and I want to just not only invite the council out, I want to invite the public out. We're going to have at 10 o'clock from 10 to 10:30 a meet and greet time. We want to get kids meeting officers, getting pictures with them. As I said in the last meeting, or the last time I mentioned this, we want to change the narrative. We want kids to look up to our law enforcement personnel. So we already have a commitment from the chief. We already have a commitment from the captain of the highway patrol. And I've already been reassured by the sheriff that someone will be out from the sheriff's department. So we're looking forward to that. As well, I'm going to Sacramento tomorrow. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with some of Assemblymember Gray's staff members, but his scheduler, Jenny Baldini, is actually retiring. She's been serving the state for 38 years. And so my family and I are going to drive up there and wish her well and meet with the assembly member and also invite him. I'd like to invite Supervisor McDaniel as well to come. I had an opportunity to meet in February a guy by the name of Chad Conley. And Chad Conley's from the East Coast, and he said, you know, when I was growing up, I didn't want to get involved in politics because he said, poly means many and ticks are bloodsuckers. He goes, but he said he did get involved in it. And you know, when we talk about honoring law enforcement, we need to put politics aside. We need to honor these men and women who have served our community. And so I hope that people, whether they're Baptist or not, or whether they're Democrat, Republican, whatever, will come together and will honor these men and women. So that'll be Sunday, May 19th at 10:30 we'll start the service, but 10 to 10:30 we'll have a meet and greet. All right? Thanks.
Pastor,
yes.
Where will that be at?
1280 Sierra Vista Street here in Atwater.
And I attended last year. It was a great event. Anybody else? Seeing none. City council comments. Ms. Vieira.
You let me go first, then I have to. Well, I just want to wish everyone a belated Happy Easter. It was a beautiful day for us to all spend with our family and friends. The Easter egg hunts were fun, but I hope everybody did stop and remember the reason. It really didn't have anything to do with an Easter bunny, but more about an empty tomb. Saturday, we had our first Easter egg hunt in a very long time in the city of Atwater. Chief was there, fire was there. It was a beautiful event. I took my grandson, and I hope it's something that we continue. There were hundreds of people there. They were eating, coloring, chasing eggs, winning baskets, and it was just a beautiful event that fits a small community like us. Prayers out to Mr. Frago. I think he's already left. I'm glad that his wife wasn't injured more, but it's good in times like that to know in our community we have a solid fire department and police department to swoop in and save the day. Jeannie, that was a really nice thing you did, taking lunch to the officers. It's nice to see that we have at least one of you Too bad we didn't have a whole community of people like you. You have a huge heart. You're always here with a kind word, so that is appreciated. There was a small conversation I had with Mrs. Amrat, Marianne, after the last conversation, the last meeting, and we had a little bit of discussion. Merced has an event every year, a downtown, Marianne, what's it called, the table? Farm to Table, and they had volunteered to help me put something like that together, and I know that a lot of the vendors, store owners, and community from downtown are really trying to raise money and put together a committee to kind of help downtown. So anybody who's interested, please get in touch with me, and the three of us will kind of start it and spearhead it and take it from there. But that's something that I would like to see from the community. We had such a great response on Saturday. I think that Atwater's really ready to stand up and start fellowshipping and having a really good time. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Oh, I don't know if I announced last time. Our twins did arrive safely and happily, and I didn't know if I announced that, but they are here and they're super cute.
Congratulations, Grandma. Mr. Kale.
Yeah, your twins came. Just kidding, Cindy. I too want to say great job, City of Atwater, on a successful Easter egg hunt. Thank you for the mayor, the staff, the Lions Club, and other groups for putting on this great event. I always like clothing somebody here on our things, and so my quote for the night is, it's good, it's by Anna Shulau, who once quipped, it's good people who make good places. Positive progress is on the wall now. And I think that is awesome. And like you said, we're making some very positive progress. And even Mr. Johnson is leaving. So you can see that the chief is doing really good. So if you have, and so it was a great day on Saturday. I wish I could have gone, but I had another event that I had to go to. If you have a free Saturday morning, take a trip to McSwain area. At 10 o'clock every Saturday, they have soccer out there for special needs individuals, children, as well as young adults. And go out there and watch amazing things. And it really, it makes your heart warm that if you go out there and you go. I try to get out there as much as I can so I can root my granddaughter on and just watch young, healthy kids help the challenged children kick a soccer ball. It's really great. And then last thing I have is on May 11th, the Merced Elks Lodge is opening up their lodge for a bingo night at the lodge, and it will be regular bingo games, and if you've never been to a bingo game, it's, sorry Pastor, it's almost a religion to these people. I mean, they are serious, and if a caller makes a mistake, oh, watch out. You're on the gates of hell if you make a mistake. So go out there because all the proceeds are going to go to support the 4th of July committee so that we can continue to have one of the greatest events in the San Joaquin Valley. And the other day we got notified that Turlock is no longer having fireworks. They can't afford it. So we're going to be one of the only ones in this area to have fireworks. So please come out to the Elks Lodge and play bingo. And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Ambrose.
Well, I want to say thank you guys all for coming out here tonight. Also, thank you guys all, especially those out in TV land and on YouTube and so forth, for coming out on Saturday. A lot of families, a lot of little smiles. My daughter had a blast, her friend had a blast, nephews and nieces had a blast. Everyone just looked like they were having a good time, so thank you guys all for coming out and supporting us with that. It's also spring break, so please watch it when you're on the roads out there. Kids are everywhere. A little taste of freedom. Sometimes they might not be paying attention, and last thing we want is to have a little accident out there. So definitely watch where you guys are driving.
Are we gonna go another summer without water, running water to our home? No.
I can't speak to that right now, Mr. Johnson.
I know it's not you.
So, I hate to be repetitive, but again, Saturday we had our Easter egg hunt, and it was a great turnout, hundreds of people there. There's some great articles written in the Merced County Times, Merced Daily. It was a huge success, and from the city, we'd like to thank our co-sponsor for the event, which was the Atwater Winton Lions Club. The bicycles were donated by the Atwater Police Officers Association, AFSCME, and Atwater Fire. Baskets were donated by various departments within the city, including Recreation, Finance, Human Resources, General Services, Public Works, the Police Department, and Mayor Creighton, who is not here tonight. As well as there were a couple of beautiful baskets donated by El Pertel Comprehensive Cancer Center. Helmets were donated by Atwater Walmart. The people that fed everybody was Love Atwater and Pastor Juan and his group. They did an outstanding job. Special appearance by Miss Merced County Outstanding Teen, Jillian Stewart. And we are excited that we're going to be bringing this event back next year and keep these types of events going. Try to bring the community together. Yeah. And we want to do extra special thank you and recognition for Deputy City Clerk Janelle Martin and Gloria Perez. They did a fantastic job with the organization, getting everything going. It was a great event. It was a great thing to see. Next, May 2nd, right here at City Hall. It's a Thursday from 12 to 1 is the National Day of Prayer. So everybody, come on out here. There'll be a ceremony that we've done for a few years now. And finally, May 4th, again, starting here at City Hall, it's God Belongs in Our City. It's a prayer rally and prayer walk. It'll be from 10:30 to 1. We'll start here at City Hall in the front steps and then do a prayer walk down to Veterans Park. And you're more than welcome to hang out with everybody. Again, that's something that's gone on for many years here. And there was about a 2-year break, and now it's coming back. So with that said, it's good to see Tom Hallinan again, Mr. 1 Million.
Good to be here.
Thank you. But with that, meeting adjourned.